Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the IVES number FS450. This is a floor-mounted door stop and holder. This is a particular item in the sense that it's made of aluminum, and that it is surface mounted, which I think is the only way they'll actually do aluminum. That's what this looks like. Okay, it's an FS450, certainly not for use on fire-rated doors, being a manual hold open. You'll want to resist the temptation to install it on a fire-rated door. Going to come with the staple that will connect it to the door itself, some fasteners. Okay. Certainly going to be available in brass-based material as well. Someone may want aluminum because, well, it's inexpensive. You might also want aluminum is because aluminum won't rust and is less expensive than brass. Okay, there you go. Going to attempt to take a dimension because I'd like to know exactly the face of the stop. Well, you know, let's say the center line, what appears to be the center line to where the door surface would be, looks like it's going to be about 3 inch. Okay, about 3 inch. So when calculating where the center line of this is going to be, roughly to where the door will stay in the open position, in the held open position, about 3 inch. Obviously, you can manipulate that a little bit should you need to. That would be the dimension you'd be dealing with. Let's take some additional dimensions. They have the base diameter at 2.5. I'd say that'd be about accurate. They have the overall height at 3 3/4. Let's see if we can gauge that as well. 3 3/4. Yeah, I'd say that'd be spot on. Okay. They have a diameter of the stop itself, and that stop is a replaceable piece. 1 1/16 is what they're saying. Looks closer to about 15/16. Now let's look up that part number for that replacement tip. And that link for the replacement bumper is the 09-315, and there's a link below this video to the replacement tip. They do require maintenance like anything else. They can be replaced. There's there's a little bit of adhesive that's on the inside of there that if I were to grab that and spin it, I'll break that adhesive that's holding it on, and that's how you would remove it. If you want to, you know, keep it held in, you might dab a small quantity of something on there that might be compatible with both a rubber and an aluminum base just to keep it in, but pressure fitting it itself I think would be quite sufficient. So we've gone over the dimensional properties. We've talked about don't use it on a fire-rated door. Fire-rated doors, the cardinal rules for fire-rated doors, there are 3. 2 of them are really important. Must be self-closing, must be self-latching, and must be free-swinging. The must be self-closing is the big one. The door has to close by all means of operation, whether that be just open the door and let it go, or you know, working with a fire alarm panel via an electromagnetic door holder, whatever the case might be. The door always has to close without the need for a human being to do anything, and this would certainly violate that. The staple for the door, about 1 3/8 by about 1 inch, total projection of about 13/16. Screws are indeed going to be included. They're non-ferrous. I don't know what these are made of. They feel a little too heavy to be made of aluminum. I doubt they're stainless because stainless screws would be slightly magnetic. They're probably zinc or Zamac, some sort of material like that. That's a good, decent material that will afford a decent, relatively decent finish. So don't use it on a fire-rated door. Use it in those applications where you require something to take a lot of use, something that's going to be dependable and reliable to be able to not only stop the door but hold it open. The US28 is a reference to the aluminum finish, and aluminum, it actually means like clear anodized to 628. So it's an aluminum base material with a clear anodized type finish on it. So it's not just raw or mill aluminum. Okay. Now the rest of the extended description down below talks about that it will accommodate an undercut of up to 2.5 inch. I would sure have no problem with that. 2.5 inch is going to be to about the center line of the stop down to the bottom. So, you know, I'd probably say closer to a 2-inch undercut. You'd like to have more of the door making contact with the stop, but 2.5 inch puts you right in the center. And that would be appropriate for lots of applications where you literally have a requirement for a taller stop that is a hold open. Here's where I see it. Funeral homes, where the procession exits, pallbearers, those pairs of doors open up in the funeral home to the vehicle. I'm drawing a blank on what that vehicle's, a hearse, I guess. Doors open up. Well, there's just a typical undercut on the bottom of those doors, 3/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, whatever the case might be. But when you open those doors up to 130 degree, hopefully there's a pitch away from the threshold area so that the concrete doesn't just pour back into the door opening. Well, if you've got a standard undercut, but now that concrete pitches away, well, now when you open up the doors, you need something taller. So that would be an application of where you would use this. When you needed something taller, or you could just use it in a standard application where you have a standard undercut and no slope away. Those doors in the funeral home analogy would be non-fire rated. They'd be exterior doors. Could certainly be very permissible to have them manual hold open. Would be an elegant way to, basically elegant way to manually hold the doors open, so that would work. It does require manual disengagement to release the hold open, and is included with 3 screws for the body and then 2 for the staple. I didn't point that out earlier, but there are 2 small ones and 3 larger ones. This will be mounted, surface mounted, so if you're going to install it in that same analogy, you're probably going to want to get your hands on some lead anchors. You might even abandon the screws that come with it, and I might look for a number 1032 or maybe a 1224 machine screw with a lead anchor, and I would drill 3 holes and really anchor that down substantial. Be a lot of work to do it. If you were going to do that, I would order the brass version because it will have a tapped hole with a wedge style anchor and then a single hole just to keep it from spinning. So it'd be a lot less work. In my opinion, you should look for the brass version of this because it will come with a different mounting package. There's a link below this video to a document called Cut Sheet that will give you the location of the I'll give you some dimensional properties. They refer to this as an FS446 where it has the 3 holes. That drawing, and I'll check and see if there's a more updated drawing for an FS450, but they do seem to show the FS450 for a brass based material and then an FS446 that's surface mounted. When you do aluminum, you're dealing exclusively with surface mounting as far as I can tell from IVES. Then there's a link below this video to a document called Product Brochure that will allow you to review a handful of standard door holder type products from IVES. You'll get to the page where you'll find the FS450 and you'll be able to see what that looks like in general. However, they're telling us on the packaging that the FS450 is indeed available in all of those finishes. There's no reference to it not being available as a brass or not available as brass. So you can do, let's back up and clarify. Their non-holder version, which I think is an FS444, becomes an FS448 when it's aluminum and then only surface mounted. So the holder style, for some reason, is different. If you want the model with the 3 holes, you'll order the FS450. That and the FS446 would be the expansion shield concrete sort of application. But apparently you can get any of them. You can get either of the 2 options in the available finishes of brass and then clear on aluminum. The brass would be US3 or 605 polished brass, US4 606 satin brass, US10 612 satin bronze, US10B 613 oil rub bronze, US15 or 619 satin nickel, US26 or 625 polished chrome. than US 2060 or 626 in a satin chrome. So prior statements have been amended. You can get either of the. You can get this in brass, surface mount or mortise, or expansion bolt style, wedge anchor style. Rest of that catalog is handy. We'll show a couple of other devices. The FS40 series is not uncommon, but you do need the FS40 series. I will generally see in interior applications. No major reason why that's the case, but I do generally see those in interior applications. Those are neat. They work very well. They do make a sound when you pull the door off the holder, though. That big spring is retracting. Now finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the IVES products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. I'm partial to IVES, and it's probably because IVES was the first trim and auxiliary line that I had become very familiar with in terms of memorizing part numbers and understanding how things work. IVES continues to this day to be an important supplier of trim and auxiliary hardware, has been in business for several decades. It would not be difficult to find technical drawings of theirs that were drawn in the 1950s. I don't know when they started as a company, but they've been around for several decades. A lot of their hardware is nothing special. You can buy it from anybody. You can buy it from a lot of different places. So nothing remarkable in terms of the doorstop and holder business. But I'll tell you what is nice about IVES is not only are they, going to be generally thoroughly recognized and accepted in the construction industry, but they've got a line of offset and center hung pivots that are incredibly well put together in terms of quality, value, and the installation instructions have been distilled down to the very essence of what's necessary. You can install pivots from other manufacturers and you'll have this technical drawing and you'll say, gosh, there's a lot of information there. It's because there is, and it's all necessary. IVES takes that approach and distills it down to its very essence. So the first time mortiser, machiner, door hanger of pivot hardware is less intimidated. So I'd take a look at their IVES pivots is what I would. There's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the IVES products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Any questions on the FS450 or any other IVES product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.